Okay, and welcome to another science lesson for your Year 7s. It's Mr. Penner here, and we are going to talk about what is a solvent during this lesson. Okay, so have a look at the do it now. It says, for each of the substances, state if they are elements, mixtures, or compounds, and explain your choice. So you have four, you have air, copper, salt, and salt water. Okay, so you need to have a look at those, decide whether they are an element, a mixture, or a compound, and explain, as well as obviously knowing what it is. So also, once you have done that, if you want to push yourself, you have the purple question. Okay, so the question states, why can we not see the salt in the water? Okay, so if you can pause the video now for a couple of minutes, we'll give you, let's give you 4 minutes. You can have a minute per, that's more than enough, and you should give you enough time to have a look at the purple question as well. So if you can pause the video now, so you can do that. Okay, so the first answer, let's go through them together then. Okay, so air is a mixture. Air is a mixture of many different both elements and compounds that are present in the air. Examples of these elements are oxygen. You also have nitrogen. An example of a compound in air is carbon dioxide. So that's carbon mixed with oxygen. Okay, so this is why air is a mixture. These items aren't chemically bonded, so it means that it's a mixture. Copper, on the other hand, having a look at the copper coins. Okay, so copper is an element. Okay, copper is only one type of element. It's part of the periodic table, and that makes it an element. Salt, okay, salt is a compound. It's made up of sodium and chloride. So sodium chloride, this is a compound because it's chemically bonded, and in order to separate it, you'd have to put it through a chemical reaction. Salt water is a mixture. So it's a mixture of a compound and another compound, so two different compounds. So water being hydrogen and oxygen, so H2O. And once again, salt being sodium chloride, which is sodium and chlorine put together. But however, the salt and the water are not chemically bonded, and therefore it's a mixture. For those of you that had a look at the purple question, okay, so the reason why we can't see the salt in the water is due to the fact that the salt dissolves in the water. Okay, what that means is that the salt goes into the small gaps of the particles of the liquid in between each molecule, and therefore it becomes invisible. So moving on then with the lesson. Okay, let's see if I can get that to move on. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe substances in terms of their solubility. We should be able to describe solutions and solvents. Okay, if you don't know what they are, obviously don't worry, we'll sort that out, and you should by the end of the lesson know that. Okay, why are we doing this? So it's important to understand that some solids dissolve in liquids and others do not. Okay, and we will show you, or I will show you a demonstration so you can have a look, you can try it at home so that you can see it for yourselves. You've probably already seen it, but you'll see it for yourselves to understand better the topic. Okay, so this is the time where I'm going to show you the demo. In order to do this, or what I'm going to do, okay, so I'm going to be making a cup of tea. Okay, what you need to think about is think about the substances that are being mixed together. Okay, so discuss with somebody either at home or make some notes for yourself. Okay, what substances are visible at the end of the demonstration. Okay, and then what I'd like for you to do is to comment on the video and share why you think it is that we are showing this demonstration. Okay, so whilst I'm getting ready, so try and think, this is what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to making a cup of tea. So I'm just boiling the kettle. Okay, and whilst I'm doing that, I will get the camera up so that you can see. Okay, so you should now be able to see me. Okay, what I have is I have a glass here. I'm going to be making a cup of tea in a glass. Reason being is so that you are able to see exactly what's going on. Okay, I also have my tea. So if you can see that on there, let's get the tea bag in there. Okay, so the kettle's just boiling. Okay, so in here we have boiling water, and in here we have our glass with the tea bag. So I'm going to place the water in, and you can already start to see what's happening. Okay, so you can see the water's coming out clear. Okay, and try and think what's happening. Then you get a teaspoon. Okay, so I'm going to stir that. There is actually a scientific reason for stirring things. Okay, the reason is that it helps to increase the speed of a reaction. Okay, so you can see that the water is turning quite brown. Okay, so I'm going to get my sugar. So here we have sugar. Okay, I'm going to have 1 teaspoon of sugar. Okay, so you can see that on there. I'm going to drop the sugar in. Okay, and I'm going to stir it. Okay, I'm going to remove the tea bag now so it doesn't get too strong. Put that in there. Okay, so to show you on here, okay, hopefully you can see the best that you can. Okay, can you see the sugar in the tea? Okay, can you see anything in there? Okay. So that is now the end of the demonstration. Okay, so what I would say is pause the video and try and think about these questions. Okay, have a look at the keywords at the bottom of the screen and try and think how these words might apply. If you know the meaning, that's fine. If not, don't worry, I will go through these things. Try and think about what's happening, okay? And take time to also comment on the video to see why you think it is that we're showing you this demonstration. If you can do that now. Okay, so hopefully you've taken a couple of minutes to have a look. Okay, so this is the reason why I've showed you this demonstration. Okay, so a lovely cup of tea. Okay, so using a cup of tea, we can show you the example of the many keywords that we need to understand during this topic. Okay, so going from the keywords on the top, point number 1, water is a solvent in tea. Okay, so a solvent is a liquid in which a solute can dissolve in. For example, sugar is solute. Okay, so solute is something that dissolves in a liquid. Okay, so the water, once again, is the solvent in tea. Okay, the solute, once again, is something that dissolves in a solvent. Okay, i.e. in the example of the cup of tea, the water is the solvent and the sugar is the solute. Okay, so point number 2, solubility is the ability of a solid to dissolve. For example, sugar is very soluble and the tea bag is insoluble. If you think about the tea bag does not dissolve, it maintains itself. Okay. However, the sugar dissolves itself, you're unable to see it. Okay. Once the sugar has dissolved in the water, this now becomes a solution. Okay, so a solution is when a solute, or when something that can dissolve, dissolves in a solvent. So in the example of the cup of tea, once the sugar has dissolved in the water, the whole thing becomes a solution. Okay, looking at the other key words, okay, so insoluble is the opposite of soluble, sorry. So insoluble means it does not dissolve. What I would suggest is that you have a look at the keywords, rewind the video if you need to, but what I would say is for you to now take 5 minutes, okay, to write a definition for each one of these keywords, because it's really important that you understand them, okay? So you can either pause the video or rewind the video to go through the explanation again, but you have 5 minutes now in order to write a definition for each one of these. Once you've done that, if you want to challenge yourself, okay, try and think about, do you understand what each of these terms mean, or what each of these words mean? So I suggest that you either pause or rewind the video now so you can get on with writing the definitions. Okay, so now that you have done that, let's try and see if we can match the keywords to the definition. What I would suggest is that you start to label them as, so you start to label them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Apologies to the numbers, it's quite difficult to draw with this mouse that I have on here. Okay, so label them and match them up. Okay, make sure that you get them correct. I'm going to give you, let's say 2 minutes to do this. So pause your video, pause it for 2 minutes, have a look, read. Obviously, considering you've just written the definitions on the previous slide, okay, this should be nice and easy for you. Okay, so if you can pause now and carry out the activity. Okay, so hopefully you have done that now. So let's have a look through the answers then. So solute being number 1. So solute is when a substance can dissolve in a liquid, i.e. sugar dissolves in water. So that would be number 1. Okay, so, oh, apologies. No, that is not number 1. Okay, number 1 is actually the one below. So let's undo that. Let's go back on there. Let's remove that drawing. Let's remove that. Okay, apologies for this. Okay, so number 1 is this one, the second one. Okay, the substance that can dissolve in a liquid, i.e. salt, that would be number 1. Okay, a solution is when a substance can dissolve in a liquid, i.e. sugar dissolves in water. Okay, so let's have a look. Number 2 is down here at the bottom. Okay, the mixture of a substance and a liquid, i.e. sugary tea, that makes a solution. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, a solvent. Okay, so this is a liquid where the substance can dissolve in, i.e. water. So that's number 3. Okay. Number 4 is soluble. Okay, so this is the ability for something that can dissolve. So when a substance can dissolve in a liquid, okay, i.e. sugar dissolves in water, it means it's soluble. So a substance is able to dissolve. So that would be number 4. Okay, number 5, solubility. Okay, so this is a measure of how much a substance is able to dissolve in a liquid. So that is number 5. And number 6 is when a substance cannot dissolve in a liquid, i.e. sand does not dissolve in water. Okay, So what I would suggest is if you haven't got them all right, okay, to pause the video for 30 seconds, correct your answers, make sure you've got them right. So if you can do that now. Okay, so perfect. Now let's have a look. Next slide. You have got some true or false statements. Okay, you need to obviously decide whether they're true or false. You have 5 statements. What I would say is I will give you 30 seconds for each maximum. You will need to pause the video. Okay, once you have done that, okay, we can have a look at the next activity. So if you can pause the video, you've got 2.5 minutes to do that now. Okay, so now that you've done that, let's have a look at go through the answers. Okay, so sugar is the solvent. Okay, it's no, that's false. Okay, so sugar is not the solvent. Tea is the solute. That's false once again. Sugary tea is the solution. That is true. Let's make that a little bit longer so it's easier to see. Sugar is soluble. That's true as well. So sugar can dissolve. Okay, and water is a compound. That is also true, having a look through last week's lesson. Okay, so hopefully most of you have got 5 out of 5. Okay, if you haven't, okay, you will need to obviously complete if you've got 5 out of 5, you can complete the gold table. If you've got 4 out of 5, you complete the silver. Okay, if you've got 3 out of 5, what I would like for you to do is to comment on the video. Okay, say that you got 3 out of 5, then we can have a look at helping you through that. Okay, so let's have a look at the next slide. Okay, so here you have your silver and your gold task. Okay, so for those of you that have got silver and gold, what you need to do now is you need to pause the video, okay, carry out the activity. If you were doing silver, okay, what you need to do is carry out the silver activity. If you have finished the silver activity and you fancy having a go at doing the gold activity, then go ahead, okay? If you have done the gold activity, okay, that's brilliant, well done. Okay, you need to complete the gold activity. Once you have done the gold activity, okay, I will show you your exit ticket. Okay, so if you can pause the video now. Okay, so well done those of you that have managed to get to the gold and the silver, okay, and the bronze. That's really good. Okay, so what we need to do now is we'll go through the exit ticket. After the exit ticket, there will be the help for those of you that are in the bronze, so I can help you through going through this topic. Okay, so what I would suggest if you've got the bronze is that you move across just after the exit ticket. Okay. So your exit ticket is here. There is a table, okay? All you need to do is fill it in, okay? So we'll give you 5 minutes where you need to pause the video, okay? Fill it in, and then we'll go through the answers. So if you can pause the video now. Okay, so you should now have had enough time to fill in the table, okay? So let's go through the first one. Salt in water, that is a solution. The reason why it's a solution is because the salt has dissolved in the water, okay? The solute in this scenario is the salt. So solute being the thing that dissolves, and the solvent is the water, okay? Number 2 is a mixture. So water and sand is a mixture. Reason being is because the sand does not dissolve in the water. The solute being sand and the solvent being the water. Number 3, copper sulfate in water. Okay, so this is a solution. You can see the reason why you can tell from the picture is that there is no solids in the water. Okay, the water is now blue. It's changed. Okay, there is nothing that you can see besides a liquid. Okay, this makes it a solution because it's dissolved. The solute in this scenario being copper sulfate and the solvent being the water. Glitter nail polish is a mixture. Okay, so obviously the glitter does not dissolve in the nail polish, hence why it's a mixture. The solute being the glitter and the solvent being the nail polish. Number 5, and not least, okay, it's paintbrushes in white spirit. Okay, so the paintbrushes do not dissolve. Okay, so that makes it a mixture. The solute being the paintbrushes and the solvent being the white spirit. Give yourself a mark out of 5, okay? And no matter how you've done, as long as you've done your best, that's the most important thing. Okay, well done for making it through the lesson, okay? Make sure that you now go on to Shobie, okay? And have a look at the question. The question will be set up on there. And you need to try to answer it to the best of your ability. Okay, so now for those of you that got 3 out of 5 on this, okay? So it's really important that you understand these key terms, okay? So let's start from the top over here on the right-hand side of the key terms. Okay, so a solvent is a liquid, okay? The liquid which is able to, or it has the ability to have something be dissolved in it. For example, water, okay, you can dissolve sugar or salt in the water. Okay, so the water is the solvent. Solute, okay, so the solute is something that can dissolve in a liquid. For example, sugar, salt, okay. Going into a bit more detail, sand, okay, so sand could be a solute, however, it does not dissolve in water, but it might dissolve in an acid. Okay, so the solute is the thing that goes in. Dissolve is the ability for something to not break down, but to just become invisible in water or a liquid. For example, when you drop sugar into water, it dissolves and it becomes invisible, so it mixes with the water. A solution is when a solvent and a solute has dissolved in a solvent, that makes it a solution. So if I make sugary water, okay, I've dissolved the sugar in the water, that makes it a solution. If I have sand in water, the water and the sand the sand does not dissolve, and that makes it a mixture, not a solution. Soluble is something that can dissolve, and insoluble is something that does not dissolve. Solubility, last and not least, is the measure of how something can dissolve in water or a liquid, sorry. Okay, I hope that this has helped. Obviously, now go back and try doing your exit ticket, and I hope that you've done the best that you can.